Hey y'all, welcome and or welcome back to my channel. My name is Janae, if you didn't know, and today's video is another true crime episode. So if you're ready, let's go. Alright y'all, so I know this case has been told plenty of many times already on this platform, but I feel like I need to get this one off my chest because not only was this case one of the first cases that I ever wanted to do when I first started doing, true crime content on my channel, but I also see Lululemon merchandise at work every single day. And every single time that I see it at work, I think about this case and I think about this young lady who lost her life senselessly. And if I gotta see Lululemon every day when I go to work, y'all at least gotta see it one more time on YouTube. It is what it is. And if for whatever reason y'all have not seen this case or heard about this case before, baby, put on your seatbelt because we about to go for a ride. And I'm not gonna hold y'all up no more with my little rants or whatever. So we just gonna go ahead and get into the case. So this case takes place in Bethesda, Maryland, which is a suburb of Washington, D.C. So it's not too far away from D.C. And this is like an upscale suburban neighborhood. You know, people keep their grass cut. Your neighbors wave when they walk out their door to pick up their newspapers. They walk in their dogs and, everything is just nice, pretty, happy, and fun. And people got money, okay? Maybe not like they not rich, but the damn show ain't po', okay? So this is the type of environment that we're in. So it is March 12th, 2011, and Lululemon store manager Rachel is coming to open the store for the day. But when she gets there, she realized that not only are the lights on, but the door is like slightly open. And this ain't normal because the night manager normally locks up, turns off the lights, and makes sure everything is secure. So initially she, opened the door and she walk in a little bit and she see that there's like a bunch of disarray going on in the store. Leggings and tights and shirts everywhere. So instead of proceeding into the store, she got a little bit of my spirit on her and she backed her ass on up out of there. And as she backed up out of her store, she noticed that there's a line that has formed at the Apple store, which is the next store over from her store. And a guy that is in that line named Ryan, he sees that Rachel is kind of panicky. She backed up out the store like, in a panic. She walked in, she's seen a bunch of stuff over the floor. She figured that they had been robbed. And so Ryan, being just a good Samaritan who was actually at the Apple store in line to get his iPad too, decided that he would come over and help Rachel. He offered to go inside the store and see what was going on. So Ryan goes inside the store and he sees, initially everything that Rachel had seen prior. And then he keeps going towards the back of the store. Once he reaches the back of the store, he comes across a young lady who is face down, which he didn't know was a young lady at the time. He just saw a person face down, covered in blood, wounded very, very badly. So Ryan turns to leave the store, but then he starts hearing a little bit of moaning and like, God bless Ryan, because I wouldn't have gone to see what this noise was. I would have actually been back at the front with Rachel. But that's not Ryan, and he goes to see what the noise is that he heard. And he finds another young lady who's tied up in an employee bathroom. Her hands and her feet are bound and she has a bunch of cuts all over her stomach. So Ryan goes back to the front, tells Rachel what's going on, and she calls 911.
County 911, what is the emergency? There's two people in the back of my store. One person seems dead and the other person is breathing. The door was open this morning. I think one of my managers came in to open it. Someone tied her up. I need an ambulance right away.
When the police and paramedics get there, they immediately go to the lady who was lying face down and find that she doesn't have a pulse. So now their focus is on the young lady who was in the bathroom. She was pretty roughed up, but she was still alive nonetheless. So they want to hurry up and get her to the hospital. So they're able to identify the two people who were found in this store as Jana Murray and Brittany Norwood. Brittany Norwood is the one who was in the bathroom and she was alive when they got there. She's at the hospital now. And the deceased woman is Jana Murray. Jana was born on November 22nd, 1980, and by all accounts, she was a firecracker. She was a person who absolutely loved life. She was a thrill seeker, an adrenaline junkie. Like, she's done been bungee jumping and everything. Stuff that I want to do, but I'm too scared to do. She wasn't scared to do it. She just liked to live life. And she was also very, very smart. At the time of her passing, she was actually at Johns Hopkins University pursuing a double master in business administration and communications. She was also in a relationship with her long-term boyfriend. I think they had known each other since they were in 7th grade. And I've heard conflicting stories. I heard that they were already engaged. And I also heard that he had plans of proposing to her pretty soon. Either way, they were in a relationship. They were either already about to be married or she was about to get proposed to be on her way to be married. Jana was loved by pretty much anybody and everybody who ran across her. And if there was a person who she came across that didn't like her, it was more than likely because either they had done something wrong or Jana just wasn't taking no shit from them. She was a very nice person, but she was also, like I said, a firecracker. So don't mess with her because she gonna fight back. She gonna say her little piece. Now, Brittany was born on May 19th, 1982, and she was the sixth child out of 9 children. And she came from a pretty good family as well. Her family wasn't super rich, but they weren't poor either. Brittany and her siblings didn't necessarily want for anything. Brittany was also said to be loving and caring, and she was super athletic. Her sport of choice was soccer, and she was so good at soccer. And she was really smart as well. But it wasn't her academics that got her a scholarship to college. It was actually her soccer playing ability. So that just goes to show you, like, Brittany was like a really good athlete. And she wanted to make that her career. So she put her all into it. But Brittany did have a couple of flaws. She was a little klepto. She liked to steal. And it's not clear why Brittany liked to steal, because like I said, she never really wanted for nothing in her life as she was growing up, so she didn't have to steal out of necessity. So the general consensus that I came to is that Brittany just liked to steal for the thrill of it, and she saw something that she wanted, she didn't want to pay for it. Just that simple. And because of Brittany's little sticky hands, she was actually kicked off the soccer team, which ultimately resulted in her losing her scholarship to college. But she didn't necessarily let that keep her down, because Brittany was also super into fitness. And so she decided, okay, since she can't make soccer her career now, she lost her scholarship to college and she's no longer playing soccer, she decided that she was going to be a personal trainer to, like, celebrities, athletes, all that. And so a step in the right direction was working at a high-end hotel in Washington, D.C. that she ultimately ended up getting fired from. I don't know why, probably because she was stealing, but she still wanted to make personal training her career. And so this is how she got to working at Lululemon. However, she didn't stay at this store in Washington, D.C. I don't know what happened. There's a couple of different stories as to why she had ended up getting transferred, but one way or another, she did end up getting transferred, and that is how she ended up at the Lululemon store in Bethesda, where Jana was working. So now back to May 12th, and Brittany's already at the hospital, and luckily none of her injuries were deadly or life-threatening, except for she had a gash on her forehead that she needed stitches for. But other than that, all of the other injuries that she had were able to be cleaned up, and they would pretty much just heal on their own. And so because of this, detectives were able to talk to her right away. They wanted Brittany to tell them, like, what happened. How did this happen? She told the detectives that it was her and Jana who was supposed to close the store that night, and everything was going off normally, and they closed up the store and everything was pretty much routine. Jana got in her car to go home, and Brittany started walking to the metro station. But as she was walking to the metro station, she realized that she didn't have her metro card, so she wasn't going to be able to get home. She figured that she had left her metro card at the store, and so she called another co-worker to get in contact with Jana, because I don't think she had Jana's number, like, directly. So she called another co-worker to get in contact with Jana, and Jana was like, all right, cool, I'll come back to the store, because remember, Jana was the key holder. She's the only one who had the key at the time. And so she was like, you know what, I'll come back to the store, no big deal, I left my laptop there anyway. So when Jana pulled up, they go inside to get Brittany metro card and to get Jana's laptop, but they don't close the door behind them. They don't lock the door behind them, because they just about to run in and out. Jana grabbed her laptop real quick, but Brittany, she can't seem to find her metro card. And after about 10 minutes, Jana was like, you know what, I'm ready to go home, we had a long day, just take my card and we'll figure this out later. But as they was about to walk out of the store, 2 men dressed in all black, one tall like 6 feet and another one like 5'5", pop up out of nowhere, and the taller one grabbed Jana, the shorter one grabbed Brittany, and take them to opposite ends of the store. She said that while the taller guy was off somewhere with Jana, the shorter guy took her to the register. He forced her to open the register and the safes and to empty them and put them in his backpack. And she said that he continuously, beat her, called her racial slurs, assaulted her sexually. And after a few minutes of being continuously attacked by this man, she said that he dragged her into the area where Jana was being kept and threw her on top of Jana and she could see that Jana was hurt really, really, really badly. She said that Jana was laying face down and that he threw her on top of Jana and told her, like, this could be you, this could be you, but they're not going to kill her because she was more fun to F. And so he tied her up, tossed her in the bathroom, and then just left. And so back at the store, the police are collecting evidence, looking at the crime scene, and they do notice that there is a set of like big footprints. It's a size 14 shoe. So that corroborates Brittany's story that a man, like a big tall man, was in the store. And there's also a set of smaller footprints, which also corroborates Brittany's story that there was a shorter man in the store. And so the officers asked her, can she provide a description? And the only description that she could provide was the one that she provided earlier, which was a tall man, a short man, and they were dressed in black. And that was it. And so now the police are trying to get surveillance footage from around the Lululemon store because for whatever reason, they did not have surveillance, but the Apple store did. And so they get the video footage from Apple, and lo and behold, they see a tall guy, a short guy, and they dressed in all black. And they are walking past at approximately the time that Brittany said this attack happened on them. And so they like, boom, we got him. And since Brittany said that she was assaulted, they performed a rape kit on her, and they were hoping that this would provide some type of additional evidence to catch the people who they seen on CCTV. Unfortunately, though, they were unable to find any, evidence within that kit. I don't know how to say that, but like they didn't find any evidence. So the detectives are detectiving, and they remember that Brittany said Jana drove her car back to the store, but the car wasn't in front of the store when they arrived. So they assumed that the attackers had taken Jana's car. And so now they were looking for Jana's car. And they hoped that it shouldn't be hard to find because Jana's car had Texas plates on it. They were hoping that with the description of her car plus the Texas plates that they would find this car pretty easily. And they was actually right about this because there was a patrol officer who said he had actually seen the car on the night of the attack. He said that he was just patrolling the area and that he seen that car sitting about 3 blocks away from the store with somebody sitting in the car and the lights was on. But he couldn't tell if it was one person, 2 people, male, female. He didn't know. But he did say that he rolled by again 2 hours later and the car was still there, but nobody was in it and the lights was off. So the police just take a shot in the dark and was like, well, hell, maybe they just left the car there. And again, they were correct in their assessment. So Jana's car was left 3 blocks away from the Lululemon store. And so they take that car for processing. And while they wait for analysis and the car to be processed, one of the detectives on the case, he just take another shot in the dark, really. And he sit outside the Lululemon store like, maybe these attackers will be dumb enough to return to the scene because sometimes they are just that dumb. And lo and behold, he's sitting in his cruiser or his unmarked car, I don't really know. And he sees a tall man, a short man, walking by the store, and they are dressed in all black. So he pop out like, hey y'all, and he got a still shot of the video, and he's like, this you? And to his surprise, they was like, yeah, that's us. And so he was like, oh, hell no, it can't be that easy. It cannot be that easy. And it wasn't, because there was a legitimate reason why those two were walking down the street in all black. And it was because they worked at a restaurant that was like 2 or 3 doors down from the store, and they were bus boys, and that was their uniform. And so now the cops are like, shit, now what? And so they start looking at the crime scene again, and certain things just aren't really adding up because there was a very, very brutal attack, and all of the items, because there were multiple items used, all of the items that were used had come from inside of the store. So finally the car is done being processed, and they find that Brittany and Jana's DNA is in the car. And they kind of figured that would make sense because if the person attacked them this brutally, they would obviously have some of Brittany and Jana's DNA on them when they got in the car to take it down the street. But there was another thing that was in the car that just didn't make sense, and it was a baseball cap. And this baseball cap had blood like right at the rim, like right at the top. And they were like, well, Well, that's weird. And they tested the blood that was in this hat, and that blood came back as Brittany's blood. And it was like, she did have, a little scratch right here on her forehead. So why would the hat that she had on be in this car? And so now they're starting to think that, maybe Brittany knew the attackers. And so they start re-looking at evidence and putting it against Brittany's story because stuff is just not adding up. The math ain't mathing at this point. And so they're looking at these footprints and they notice that the footprints are a little set of footprints, and then there's a big set of footprints, and they like are in the exact same places as the little footprints. So like they never deviated off course. And they also was talking to the Apple employees because obviously Apple is right next door. And some of these Apple employees, they kind of pissed me off, but that's neither here nor there. They said that they heard screaming this night. They heard two female voices. They were really, really loud. One of them said, "God, please help me." And another one was saying, "Tell me what's going on." They also said that they heard a dragging noise. And it's so easy, okay, to be so mad at these Apple employees because you hear this scream as if somebody's in pain, because that's what they said. They heard somebody screaming in pain. You hear arguing, you hear dragging, and it's so easy to be so mad at them. But now I'm just playing devil's advocate for like 1 second because I am a black person of the African American variety, okay? And it has been ingrained in me since a little child to mind your damn motherfucking business, bitch, okay? If I hear two people fighting, what I believe to be just fighting, I'm not calling the police. I'm just not. Now, coupled with the screams and the drag, it's like, okay, now, okay, maybe y'all not gonna go investigate, but y'all could call the police. And if they didn't want to call the police, there was a security guard there. He could have at least called the police. I mean, you're there to secure the area. It's not secure at this point, sir. You ain't secure shit. You didn't even go take a peeksy weeksy. Okay, you did nothing. You didn't even call the police. Like, you ain't had no flashlight to flash in there to see what was going on or nothing. Because, I mean, I don't know if you had a gun. But that's neither here nor there. So, the police realized that these Apple employees said that they heard two female voices and that they never heard male voices. They like, okay, so that's kind of weird. And it was at this point, one of the detectives was like, you know what? With all the evidence that we have, I think that Brittany is the sole attacker. I think this is strictly on Brittany. I don't think there's any other culprits at this point. And so they start investigating that way. And they asked Brittany, did she know what kind of car Jana drives? And she said, yeah, she had seen it before, when she pulled up to the store to come to her shift and when she leaving or whatever. And then they asked her, has she ever been in Jana's car? And she was like, nope. Not once, not ever. And that raised their alarm bells because the hat that had Brittany's blood on it was in the car. It ain't making no sense. And so once they present her with this evidence, Brittany is like, okay, you know what? This is all too much. I just want to go home. Like, I'm overwhelmed. I just can't think about this right now. And so they let her go home. But to their surprise, it was either the next day or a couple days later, Brittany voluntarily came back to the police station because she had a memory, a sudden memory. She said that she came to the police station and she told them that she suddenly remembered that the attackers made her search Jana's things, get her keys, and move her car. And they told her that if she tried anything slick, she was gonna be next, okay? And so Brittany politely drove Jana's car 3 blocks away. She saw the officer that saw her, but she ain't say nothing because she was so scared. And she walked the 3 blocks back to the store as her attackers instructed. And so the guy interviewing her was like, okay, you know what? I'm sick of you. Because now you just insulted my intelligence. Who you think gonna believe that? Who you think believe that? Who you think believe that, sis? And she was like, no, it's true. No, it's true. I was so scared for my life. And the officer was like, okay, girl. Okay, girl. And so he was through with her. but he figured hopefully one of her siblings could get to her. So he brought in one of her brothers and one of her sisters, and they came into the room and started talking to her. But her sister, she couldn't take it, so she left the room. And her brother stayed in, and he was telling her, look, just tell me if you did it. If you did this, we can help you. We can get you a lawyer, but you need to tell me so that I can help you. And Brittany told her brother, I don't want to talk about it here. She didn't say, I didn't do this. They trying to put this on me. I don't know why they think I did this. I'm so hurt. I'm a victim. Okay, I am a victim. She didn't say that. She said she didn't want to talk about it there. And so the police was like, okay, you know what? That's evidence enough. And so they arrested Brittany. And they found out that sis had a little rap sheet of stealing. So once Brittany started working at the Bethesda store, her coworkers started noticing that things was getting a little bit different around there. And when I say different, I mean missing. The inventory was off, the drawers were short, and the manager kind of made the connection that the common denominator in all of these things either going missing or the drawers being short was the fact that Brittany was on shift that day. So one day the store manager and all the key holders got together in a meeting and they started discussing the fact that Brittany was potentially the one stealing. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, they kind of knew, but they still had to have solid proof. And this wouldn't be a hard task to catch her stealing. Because at the end of every employee's shift, they would have to have a manager check their bag to make sure that there was nothing in there that wasn't supposed to be in there. Like I said, it wouldn't be hard to catch her because once they check her bag, if there was something in there that didn't belong in there, they was going to catch her stealing. And this is exactly what happened one day. So one day, Brittany leaving at the end of her shift, and as per usual, somebody has to check her bag before she walk out the door. So Jana is the one who was checking Brittany's bag this day. And Jana actually sees a pair of leggings in there that she want to make sure that Brittany purchased. And so she asked Brittany, look, do you have the receipt for this? And she's like, oh, nah, but such and such rang me up. Just call her and ask her. And Jana did. She called up homegirl like, hey, did you ring up Brittany for these pair of leggings? Or I don't even know if the girl was in the store or not, but I'm just assuming she called her. And the other employee said, no ma'am, I did not ring Brittany up for anything. So Jana called Rachel, and Rachel was pretty much just like, all right, cool, I handle it in the morning. And it was then that Brittany realized that she was caught. Even though she was trying to play it cool, she realized that she was caught. And that's when she decided that at the end of her shift, she was going to have Jana come back to the store for her lost Metro Pass and then attacked her. Now, it was found that Jana had 331 wounds on her, most of which being in her facial region. They said that this attack took approximately 17 minutes, and unfortunately, Jana was more than likely alive for all of those except for the very last one. And that's another thing that led detectives to realize that it was Brittany, because Jana had these extensive, deep, just horrible, horrible things happen to her. And Brittany only had superficial cuts with one weapon outside of the little gash on her forehead. And so that was also suspicious to the police. And once they analyzed the zip ties that Brittany was tied up with, they found that the ones on her arms had teeth marks in them because she had, used her teeth to tie her own arms. And then she lay there all night to portray herself as a victim. During trial, Brittany's lawyers tried to say that she was mentally incompetent at that time. She had just snapped, she blacked out, and she just blacked out. Because there's no way that somebody that was sane and in a right mind would have left that much evidence behind and done the things that she had done. And nobody went for it. The jury didn't go for it because they were trying to get her off on second degree. It wasn't intentional. But in Maryland, intent can happen in a split second. So you might not go to a place with the intent to murder someone, but if you decide to murder someone in like 0.5 seconds, then it's going to be considered first degree, at least in the state of Maryland. And the prosecutor said that in 17 minutes, Brittany could have made the decision to stop. With the change of each weapon that she used on Jana, she could have stopped, and she did not. And so the jury found her guilty of first degree murder, and she was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. I really just can't wrap my mind around the fact that this young, vibrant, life-loving, adventure-seeking, happy person lost their life because Brittany didn't want to get fired. Like, Jana was just doing her job, and Brittany just didn't want to get fired. Like, sis, if you think it's going to look bad on your record, ma'am, don't say that you worked at Lululemon on your next application. What the freak? Like, there were so many other options, like so many other options. And this is what she chose. So essentially, she lost her life, but Jana paid the ultimate price. For what? For what? Anyways, guys, that is all that I have for you. Thank you so very much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. If y'all see me halfway through this video missing an eyelash, mind your business. I probably showed y'all this in another one, in another video, but I really enjoy. My ear. Okay, I gotta quit. Apple to get his iPod 2. Is it iPad or? So now, from everything that I can understand, this is the incident that led to the events of. Oh no. Oh no. Damn. I just did all of that, and I wanted to tell that at the end of the fucking story.